Welcome to the anti-tank tutorial. Let's start with chapter 1, the purpose of the anti-tank role. In squad, there are two infantry roles which can carry anti-tank weapons. First, the light anti-tank, also called LAT, who has access to a heat projector rocket launcher with medium damage and is considered a defensive role for its job to disable or mobility kill vehicles. The maximum amount of LATs in a squad is 2. The heavy anti-tank, however, is limited to only 2 players for the whole team, and is a far more offensive role which can outright destroy light vehicles and cause great damage to heavy armored ones. Both roles are crucial for your team to succeed. They can protect your squad from deadly vehicles and inflict heavy ticket losses on the enemy's side. Oftentimes, a squad leader calls for an AT to be in the squad. And for a 9-man squad, it is oftentimes the case that both LAT roles must be taken at the beginning of the round. With the heavy AT role, you are taking even more responsibility for your team, and it is expected from you that you know what you are doing. Let's start with the LAT kits. There are currently 6 factions in squad. Each one of them has their own LAT kits with different rocket launchers and weaponry. The kits can be divided into 2 categories: NATO forces and Russian armed forces. The British, the Canadians and the US forces are all using the same rocket launcher for their LAT. Each one of them has the M72 Law single-use rocket launcher that fires a fast heat projector at the enemy, which can deal 960 damage and has 320 armor penetration. It has a very short reload time, only costs 40 ammunition to rearm, and has an effective range of 400 meters. This damage numbers result to about 3 rockets to kill a BRDM, 4 to kill a BTR, and about 12 to kill a tank. All kits with the M72 Law come with a rifle that has a 4x sight and also a hand grenade, which gives them a great fighting capability. The US has also a second LAT kit to choose from that is more suited for people who want to deal more damage with their rockets and can accept lesser infantry fighting abilities. Introducing the 84. With 1284 damage and a blazing 420 armor pen, it fires a very fast heat projectile up to 500 meters. Through its higher damage, it needs 2 shots for a BRDM, 3 for a BTR, and 8 for a tank. It needs more ammunition and costs 60 to rearm. To additionally balance this easy-to-shoot rocket launcher, the player only gets a M4A1 with a red dot. No hand grenades, but a binocular to spot over high distance or through foliage. Now onto the Russian ground forces that are using 2 types of LATs, which are very similar to the US LAT kits. The scoped rifleman uses an AK-74M with a 4x scope and has access to the single-use RPG-26 rocket launcher, which on paper has the same properties as the M72 LAW. But one key difference is the ranging of the iron sights, which are far worse and can only be dialed up to 250 meters. The kit has also no hand grenades. To compensate for the poor ranging of the RPG-26, the second LAT kit has the good old RPG-7 in the version 2, which means that you have a scope on your rocket launcher with a rangefinder and intuitive distance adjustments. The heat rocket has, like all others, the same damage and resupply costs, but a slightly better penetration of armor with 400 and an effective range of 500 meters. Additionally to the heat rocket, you get 2 fragmentation rockets that are deadly in a splash radius of 10 meters around impact. They cost 30 ammo to rearm and will be your main fighting tool, since you only get the AK-74M with iron sights and a binocular that you much less often need thanks to your sight on the RPG-7. The militia uses the same RPG-7 rocket launcher, but only with iron sights and manual range adjustments. One of the two gets a AK-74 with the upside down 4x sight, and 1 heat plus 2 frag rockets. The second LAT, who has only an iron sight on his AK-74, gets 3 instead of 2 frag projectors and a binocular. The insurgents have a similar scoped kit with the SKS plus PU sight and the RPG-7 rocket launcher. The second kit, however, has a AKMS, 2 heat and 3 frag rockets. This makes the kit ideal for confined spaces and urban areas, like Al-Basra, Kokam or Lower Valley. Let's have a look now at the heavy ATs of squad. They are the most crucial role in terms of anti-tank combat and are limited to 2 people per team. They often have very limited ammunition for their rifles, all get a binocular, and they need a lot of it, since all heavy AT rockets cost 80 ammunition, which makes team play and good logistics important for the success of their mission, to destroy heavy armored vehicles. The insurgents as well as the militia have 2 different kits for their heavy AT. The first one is the primary role with a powerful RPG-29, a SKS as a rifle and a binocular. The RPG-29 can destroy every vehicle on the battlefield, even a tank, within 2 hits, thanks to his damage of 1400 and a penetration value of 900. What even more makes this kit so strong is that the tandem missile flies very fast and without any drop over a long distance, and also that players can carry 2 rockets with them and be a serious threat to every vehicle crew over a very long distance. The secondary HUD kit only uses the RPG-7 rocket launcher with a very slow flying tandem rocket, and it deals the same amount of damage as all tandem rockets, but is only effective up to 200 meters, which means that you have to get very close to be a threat. Additionally, you get the standard LAT rocket kit that includes 1 heat missile and 2 frag rockets. You also have, like the primary kit, only a SKS rifle. The Russian ground forces have the same kit as the secondary irregular faction Heavy AT, but uses the scoped RPG-7 launcher. The primary kit has a AK-74M with a standard 4x sight, but has to sacrifice his 2 frag rockets, while the secondary can keep them but only gets a AK-74M with iron sights. The British are using a different version of the 84 for the Heavy AT kit. It deals 1400 damage because it's using a tandem missile, but only has a penetration of 400. The British also rely on one normal M72 long as a secondary rocket. As a last weapon of choice for heavy ATs, there is the Carl Gustaf, a recoilless rifle which can shoot different missiles like the RPG rocket launcher. It is used by both the US Army and the Canadian forces in different versions. The US is using the M3 Morse, which shoots a tandem missile with very low speed but long-range capabilities. And also a heat missile with the same damage as the LAT, with a penetration value of the 84. Additionally, to their handheld smokes, the Heavy AT can shoot a smoke missile similar to a smoke mortar shell at the enemy, to create a large smoke screen. The primary kit has a M4A1 with a red dot, while the secondary has settled with the iron sights and only 4 mags. The Carl Gustaf stands out through especially their multi-use abilities and their easy-to-range launchers.
Südöstlich von der Abandoned Soviet Base habe ich gerade eine Tower auf dem Bunker markiert.
The Canadians are using a different version of the Carl Gustaf, which is visible in the side picture and their choice of ammunition. The primary kit gets a tandem rocket and a normal heat projectile. The secondary, however, has one tandem rocket and 2 high explosive rockets which are comparable to the RPG-7 fragmentation rounds. If you want to learn how to be an AT, I recommend starting with the scoped LATs, since your main focus will be on combat and you're not so heavily punished by missing shots, like a heavy AT. If you want something more powerful but easy to shoot, take the 84. The LAT and the Heavy AT version are both very simple to use, and you will get the hang of it very quickly. The Carl Gustaf and the RPG-29 are both good heavy ATs, and are very easy to zero. But these are more difficult roles, as it is expected from you that you will hunt down high value targets and have resupply on hand. Ask your SL for ammo boxes around the FOB radius, or ask riflemen to follow you and give you ammo to resupply. The hardest missile to shoot in this game is the RPG-7 tandem rocket. I advise against using it if you have no experience at being a heavy AT. The missile is very slow and drops off a lot, which is hard to predict even for experienced players. If you still want to use the Russian heavy AT, give it a try on the Jensen range and practice shooting it over high distances. Now it is time to talk about how you shoot. Each weapon has an initial velocity and a flight path. The rocket will lose altitude over time, and since you are not every time in a perfect distance of 100 meters of your target, you have to adjust your launcher. Press X on your keyboard and scroll upwards to increase the range and distance. This works on all launchers that are using an iron sight like the M72 LAW, the AT4 or the RPG-7-1. The Carl Gustav has a side picture with lines, each plus indicating 100 meters. The arrow on top marks the 50-meter mark. Notice how the side picture changes when we load the tandem rocket. This accommodates for the higher drop of the round. If you want to engage targets beyond 500 meters, just press X again and scroll down to 500 meters and add again one line for each 100 meters additionally. The RPG-7 version 2 has a multi-use side picture, where the top part is for the heat and frag rounds and the bottom one is for the tandem rockets. The first X is for the heat 50 meter distance. The second, smaller one is for 100 meters. And the bottom ones have a line for each of hundreds meters. The sight for the tandem has its 50 meters at the double line of the 3. It's 100 meters in the middle below the 5, and it's 150 and 200 below that. Furthermore, you have a rangefinder where the height of the vehicle indicates its distance to you. The same goes for the binoculars, which all have analog rangefinders. This leads us to the part of rangefinding. The Russians have it easiest with their scoped RPG. But how do others deal with that problem? The solution is squad lead markers. Oftentimes, USL will mark the vehicle with a squad-wide marker that is on your map, as well as on your compass in the bottom. Above the icon there will be a distance display that is up to 5 meters accurate below 100 meters and to 50 meters accurate above. Marking an enemy vehicle is not only important for distance measurements, but also for communicating targets to friendly ATs. To clear up the squad comms, the SL will often assign fire team leads to important roles in the squad. Also, there will be riflemen or other ATs assigned to your fire team to coordinate attacks on vehicles. As a fire team, your most important tool is to mark vehicles with the T radial menu and place markers on the map that are visible to the whole team. The fire team marker, however, doesn't give you a distance to the marker, and you should just ask if you can get a SL marker on your fire team target.
Ja, danke.
My opinion is that if you are a LAT and sticking to your squad, you shouldn't need a fire team, because your SL will always be in line of sight of your targets. However, if you are splitting from your squad and hunting vehicles, it is handy to have a fire team. After we learned how to measure distance in squad, I want to talk about where to shoot a vehicle and from where. The first rule is always have cover. Try to get near a wall, a bush or inside a building. It is important for your success as a AT to survive the initial attack and reload out of cover or to get ammunition. Vehicles have a limited field of view and oftentimes a slow turning rate of their turns. Abuse that by hiding behind cover after you've shot your rocket. Vehicle gunners will have a hard time locating you if you are very close to the vehicle, but be wary of windows or trenches that can lead to the death if a vehicle fires high explosive rounds at you or your vicinity. I recommend immediately falling back if you have successfully hit your target. Try to reload your rocket launcher in safety. If possible, run back to a ammo crate or a rifleman to resupply.
Copy. Also in Aufzeiten, Leute. Er brennt. Oh, die
Avoid running over open terrain, and if it's not possible to get to ammo, just wait. Armored vehicles will often keep moving to avoid further hits from ATs. You can also use a nearby MRAP or BMP to resupply your rockets. All vehicles except the tank will always carry enough ammo to resupply you. It is also common for the insurgents and the militia heavy ATs to park a bike or a technical nearby to resupply, as they consume a lot of ammo. It is also important to change positions after you've shot your rocket, since the gunner will eventually locate your position.
Diesen Scout gerade in der Nähe von der Kreuzung.
The second rule: don't be too close. All rockets have an arming distance, which means they can only explode after they've traveled a certain distance. For all heat rockets, the distance is 25 meters. For all heavy tandem rockets, it's 40 meters. If the vehicle is too close, take distance or let it pass by you and then take the shot. Sometimes vehicles will try to use that to their advantage and will drive close to you so you can't arm your rocket. Oftentimes, this results in the vehicle not being able to kill you, because the turret can't reach that far down.
Der brennt gleich aus.
The key to that problem is patience. Don't panic, just take out your rifle and wait for a mistake by the driver, then reposition yourself and get your launcher back out.
Ist er down? Ja.
The third rule: don't give up. Oftentimes it is tempting to just respawn after you've missed your shot and died to a BMP, just to resupply your missile. Don't do that. If you do that 10 times over and over, it was not worth it ticket-wise to destroy that BMP. Be patient. Wait for a mistake of the vehicle crew, like pushing your spawn hub or staying in an area where they have no infantry support. Which leads us to the fourth rule. Mobility kills are important.
Bewegt sich noch der Bild.
Most of the time, as an AT, you will not have the opportunity to destroy a vehicle in 2 shots. You either have too low damage as a LAT, or you will not get the chance to shoot twice, since the vehicle has already escaped.
Die Leute komisch geparkt. Alter,
To mobility kill a vehicle, you have to damage certain parts of it to stop it from fleeing. A rule of thumb is that aiming for certain parts of the vehicle is only important if you are below the 100-meter distance.
Eine Tower auf dem Bunker markiert.
Beyond that distance, you have trouble hitting targeted compartments and probably miss on moving vehicles. Just get close to the vehicle, or don't even try to get a mobility kill. It is more important to do damage instead of missing completely. But if you are getting a close shot onto a vehicle that is moving slowly or static, aim for important compartments. Vehicles with tracks like the tank, IFVs, or the MTLB and the Bulldog can be brought to an immediate halt by destroying their tracks. Every rocket is capable to damage and destroy tracks of any vehicle, which makes mobility kills very easy. The crewmen have to exit their vehicle and repair over a long time the tracks from outside to get the vehicle moving again. In that time, they are setting ducks for any enemy vehicle, or to more ATs that can then focus on damaging the vehicle. Oftentimes, ATs will even push around the vehicle to kill the guy trying to repair it. If he is killed, the armor is almost always lost. If no one comes to rescue them, the gunner is either trapped in one position and forced to endure further attacks of rockets, or he also tries to get out and risks to lose the vehicle altogether if he gets killed. Always destroy the tracks of the vehicle first. I even recommend for the Russian ATs to first use their normal heat rocket to track the enemy and then use their slow flying tandem on a static target to get better chance of hitting it.
Wo ist er denn jetzt? Aber der ist gleich am Ende.
Steht doch da eine. Steht leider scheiße.
Ja, das war spannend, das Wort, ich hab mich gerade gefragt, wo ich auch mal hin bin. So, ja.
Striker, der ist mal ganz links und rechts gelaufen, der hat mich nicht getroffen.
Das war kein
If you encounter vehicles with normal wheels like a Striker or a BTR, you can try to aim for their engine to make them significantly slow down. A vehicle with a damaged engine can't accelerate anymore and also needs to be repaired from the outside. To hit the engine is far harder and can be missed pretty easily. If the vehicle is moving too fast to be hit precisely in the engine, I would consider not aiming for the engine, but to hit its center mass. But if you get the chance to hit the vehicle from behind, you almost always penetrate through and damage the engine. For lighter vehicles like the M80V and the Scout car, it is not so much important where you hit them, because they get to a burning state in just 2 rocket hits. Lighter vehicles than these can be very easily destroyed by small armed fire. There is another option to hinder the capabilities of a vehicle: to damage the turrets of the vehicle to a point where they can't properly turn anymore. This strategy is the most effective on vehicles of the Crows family, like the Striker or the MTAV Crows. If the rocket hits right on the turret, it will destroy the turret completely and render the vehicle useless. However, the vehicle will receive no damage and can safely return to base to repair. This strategy can be used for situations where the vehicle's body is behind hard cover, or you have no prospect of getting any more ammunition to destroy the vehicle. With that, wrapping up the AT tutorial, here are some quick tips for you. Clear your back, since all of the launchers have back blasts and can severely injure or kill your teammates. If crewmen are repairing the vehicle in cover out of your line of sight, use a grenade to injure or kill them, or fire a fragmentation rocket at the ground close to the vehicle. The large splash damage will kill everything behind the vehicle. Don't shoot tanks in their turret. Due to their high armor and round surface, it might ricochet and deal no damage. There is another compartment in infantry fighting vehicles and tanks, which is the ammo rack. Bradleys and BMPs have these located below their turret, and can sometimes be ignited by tandem rockets, hitting them from above, on their turret, or from the side. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any tips or tricks, write it in the comment section below. And if you liked the video, tell me which tutorial you want to see next. We'll see us on the battlefield. Over and out.